Okay, Vision, get ready.
Nadine, are we good to start? We are sorry, we are 9 minutes late already.
Yes, you're live.
And we need to make Fai and Yifan both as co-hosts so that they can open their. So, friends, just generally telling everybody one thing. Last two experiences, we had extremely kind of harrowing time with the kind of troll that was happening on the Zoom. Also because we publicly provide the Zoom link as well as the passcode. However, to prevent that, we at this time taking a precaution about videos as well as chat room access and other annotation facilities and all of that. So this is a slightly more stringent meeting room, almost like a Zoom webinar framework, but it's just that we can all see each other, we can all be here. So we can also see all the participants on the same page. So we're going to start soon, as soon as Fai and Ifang, Comrade Ifang, both who are going to be our hosts for the day on the day one of the Conference of the Ocean People. A happy Oceans Day to all of our fish worker friends, as well as comrades in solidarity to all of you. Nadine, have you managed to start the live streaming? If there are any interpreters who have joined now and who have not been assigned languages, please let us know in the chat box, please. Just put a message saying which language you have to be there for. Okay, so Nadine, you will have to assign Fai and Yifang as co-hosts. This is Fai Pamlakaya. Nadine, is it possible to shift the host facility? We are running late, already 12 minutes late.
Everything is set. The YouTube has been running for the last 5 minutes and Faith and our co-hosts are ready to go.
Fai and Yifang, could you just start the session? I think we are set. Kindly switch on your videos, please.
Okay.
Now it's time to look at our first of several deaths on this list caused by excessive laughter. No list of history's most bizarre would be complete without the explosive death of the famous Greek.
Can you hear me?
Like hilarious.
Can you guys hear me?
Let's be honest, never let us get in the way of it.
Alright.
So he spent as much time.
I think there is still a clash of the channels.
He also was rocking a chrome dome and eagle far up.
Nadine, could you make June a
He was
co-host?
carrying a turtle, and he needed somewhere that could so just keep moving over this and then handle down like to the top of this was his boat and cashing in his chips like chicken. That's
Sorry, I'm not sure where the background sound is coming from. Is that a TV? Thanks.
Arun, can we start with the video?
Okay.
So here is the
Okay.
yeah, fine.
Mm-hmm.
You guys want to introduce that?
Okay. Hello. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you are watching this our conference of Ocean People 2025, our counter event on the UN Ocean Conference. So to start with um, our webinar for tonight, let us play the video of our Mystica.
Arun, audio is missing.
You able to hear it?
No, Arun, there's no audio.
Is there no audio?
There is no audio. It's very, very low volume.
Thank you for that video. Once again, welcome to the second conference of the Ocean Peoples 2025 with the theme Defying Colonial Capitalism Union for the Future of Earth and Oceans. This conference is organized by the World Forum of Fisher Peoples. And before we forgot, I want to introduce myself and my co-moderator for today. I am Faye from Pamalakaya, and with me moderating is Yifang from Tian. And now can we call on Christiana Lua? Um, Cristiana Luba is one of the strongest women leaders of the Fisher movement. She has been a part of several people's movements over the years and has been an advocate for the rights of the Fisher peoples. She is currently an office bearer and holds the position of the treasurer for WFP. She is from the indigenous fisherfolk community and represents the El Molo Forum in Kenya. So can we call on please, is Christiana here?
Sorry, but she's not here. She must have dropped out of the meeting. Hopefully she's coming
No,
back.
she's here.
She is here.
Oh, she's
She's
here.
here. She's here.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Christiana. Please go ahead.
So I would like to say thank you to the World Forum of Fisher People and to allow me to give this sticker during the second conference of the Ocean Peoples. Despite my limitations and challenges, I am happy to be with you today. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here as ocean peoples to resist, and not only to resist, but also, as my elders would say, to abide by listening to the whispers and the roars of the waves. That's when we know what needs to be done. And we are calling upon all the spirits of our ancestors and the higher powers to be with us now and always. So I'm going to do a mystica in my language, which is also spoken by the El Molo. You know, a mystica usually is done collectively together. So I'll chant and you will say, Ngai, Ngai. When I say Ngai Taramata yo, you say Ngai. Kulai Senak, Ngai, Lampaso. So can we get started? Then we will close by Mapambano. Can we get started?
Yes.
Ngai Taramata yo, Ngai. Ngai
Ngai.
Taramata yo, Ngai. Ngai
Ngai.
Senak, Lampaso, Ngai.
Ngai.
Langare, Ngai. Njoyo, Ngai.
Ngai.
Ngolon, Ngai.
Ngai.
Nikimbuni, Ngai.
Ngai.
Dumana, Ngai.
Ngai.
Rosingiri, Ngai.
Ngai.
Ndopongo yo, Ngai.
Ngai.
Serikali ni torok, Ngai.
Ngai.
Guy,
Tiropongo yo, Ngai.
guy,
Ngai.
Nejata,
guy,
nejata, nejata, nejata,
Nejata.
nejata,
Nejata.
Engai,
Nejata.
Engai, Engai.
Ngai.
Mapambano, mapambano,
Mapute.
Mapambano, mapambano.
bado mapambano. Mapambano,
Mapambano.
bado mapambano.
Mapambano.
Bado
The
mapambano.
struggle continues. Mapambano, bado
Mapambano.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice meeting. I'm done.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Christiana. As we see, Christiana is streaming from the hospital. So we all hope that you get well soon, Christiana. So before we go to the next speaker, just a reminder for all of the speakers tonight, because as moderators, it is also our task to keep um, our speakers. So we hope that this would cooperate with me and with Yifang. So me and Yifang are holding yellow cards and red cards, but in my case, I am holding a yellow ball and a red ball. So this means that when we are showing you the yellow things, you still have 2 minutes left. And if we show you the red things that we have, that means that you have to wrap up your speech. So we are showing you our red things and our yellow things. So yes, this is to remind our speakers if they have 2 more minutes or if they have to wrap up. So okay, so let's move on to our opening remarks. So our opening remarks will be coming from the General Secretary of the World Forum of Fisher Peoples and from NAFSO, the National Fisher Solidarity Movement in Sri Lanka. He is a leader of the global fisher movement. He has played a role in building the fisher peoples movement in Sri Lanka, in South Asia, and in various parts of the world. He is also of course, as I have said, General Secretary of the WFFP and the convener of NAFSO in Sri Lanka. So can we call on Herman Mara?
Thank you, Faye. So happy Ocean Day, and it's my great pleasure and privilege to welcome you all, our special guests, guest speakers, member organizations, allies, interpreters, media, and our comrades all over the world, and who work hard to make this event happen. The WFFP, we represent 10 million fisher people around 52 countries in the globe. We convened our 8th General Assembly in Brasilia last November. At the General Assembly, we had diverse opinion and we were not directly decide, but we kept it open that our participation of Ocean Conference in Nice, France. However, later WFFE Coordination Committee decided to boycott it. We issued a statement in March explaining why we decided to boycott the event in France. And we decided that we organize counter conference parallel to Ocean Conference, which is held in France. In that statement, we mentioned the main outcomes of the Ocean Conference includes a non-binding conference statement and a torrent of voluntary commitments that are disingenuously represented as the outcomes of the consensus, lacking any mechanism to ensure transparency in decision-making processes and accountability to monitor implementation. We don't see the Ocean Conference will bring any good to fishing communities in the world. Rather, it promotes the conservation agenda further. In Belize, for example, the Nature Conservancy played a key role in brokering the debt for Nature SAP. This restructuring of sovereign debt was negotiated behind closed doors without any public debate, and it was only later we learned the government of Belize committed to developing a marine special plan and implement plans to meet the 30 by 30 target, neglecting rights of the coastal communities. This could happen every corner of the earth and sea as the poor countries need to overcome the debt crisis anyhow. We denounce all forms of violence against humanity, dispersion of resources, displacement of communities, destruction of ecosystems, dislocation of our people, and devastation of people's sovereign rights, and demand the UN to ensure their mandate to ensure human, political, and environmental rights of the communities. We stand firmly with the people from Palestine to Panama and all the communities facing challenges. We firmly stand the sovereignty of Palestinian people and freedom to Palestine. We stand with indigenous people and fisher communities in Panama for their sovereign rights to territories and to livelihoods. We urge stop all forms of violence against Panama people. We denounce blue economy regime which promote corporate capture of fisher people's land, water territories, and their destruction with the promotion of conservation agenda of tourism, so-called sustainable energy projects, 30 by 30 agenda, marine special planning, aquaculture, maritime transportation, and mega scale infrastructure development in the name of development and address climate crisis. We stand with the victimized Kerala and Alaskan fisher communities due to shipwreck in Indian and US waters. And we demand justice, compensation, and cleaning of beaches and the polluted sea immediately. What governments can do is to ban fishing in such areas and provide compensation for a short period of time. However, the experience in Sri Lanka and many other countries is rejection of buying fish and fish products for longer period of time, which fisher people are become victimized eventually. We hear such incidents day by day, and we need solution to prevent destruction of ecosystems, which eventually lead to water pollution, depletion of fish stocks, and push fish people into further vulnerability. We urge all responsible parties and polluters to pay, compensate to the victims. We need strict regulations to enact to control hazardous chemicals and plastic needles transportation and support the forthcoming plastic treaty in Geneva. We urge support all governments to adopt it. The coastal communities in India, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Indonesia, and many other countries in Europe, including Basque Country, and also across the globe, are facing serious challenges of industrial fishing, bottom trawling, destructive fishing practices, which lead to fishing communities into further vulnerability and ecosystem destruction. We urge urgent attention of respective governments and law enforcement agencies to pay urgent attention and take action immediately and find solution for the deprived fisher communities.
Sorry for
Again, the
interrupting. Would you mind reading a little bit slowlier so interpreters can catch up?
Sure.
Sorry for interrupting. I apologize.
No, it's okay. The blue economy devastate us, and we reject all forms of blue regimes, industrial agriculture, coastal infrastructure development, such as ports, harbors development, maritime transportation, hazard chemicals and plastics, so-called sustainable energy programs, and coastal tourism, which displace our communities. We are in a fear with the US President's deep sea mining policy, as our fishing communities will further affect badly in the future, and we urge to stop all this nonsense immediately. We stand firmly on food sovereignty movement and tightly bind with them to reach the global goal of food sovereignty, which provide food to all people, mainly vulnerable and hungry people. Find real solutions to climate crisis we face. Ensure human dignity through human rights and peaceful living to all organisms in the world. We strongly link with the peasant movements, women movements, environmental groups, and all progressive scholars, researchers, consumer movement, and trade unions, and more to achieve food sovereignty. We pledge our support to the United Nations that is firmly rooted in the values that form of the basis of the United Nations Charter: peace, justice, respect human rights, tolerance, and solidarity. To uphold the values, each country should draw more consistently from parliaments, subnational governments, civil society, as well as the executive branch of government in democratic country-led governance on which the UN is founded. We remain committed towards working with the UN Committee on Food Security, the Food and Agriculture Organization, and the Committee on Fisheries in order to advance the key principles of the small-scale fisheries guidelines and our food sovereignty agenda. We will also continue to work with the UN institutions and organizations on human rights, including the Human Rights Council and the Human Rights Treaty bodies. The UN institutions resemble democratically structured UN bodies where we are recognized as human rights holders and have a real opportunity to participate in decision-making processes. I wish the deliberation of the 2 days conference of the ocean peoples will bring knowledge, courage, and give way and strength to move forward and move right direction towards the food sovereignty path. I congratulate all the speakers. I wish they guide us in the right direction, and all the participants who are coming here today to support the world fisher people and the media people who are supporting us to widely spread this message along the globe, across the globe, and also our partner organizations who are having us continuous support to us for this work, and our member organizations who are the fisher people, fisher communities, and very specifically, I congratulate to organizing committee who work hard to make this event a success. So continue our fight against capitalism, against the corporate capture of our oceans, and for our sovereignty, our future, and we say long live fishing communities. Thank you very much, comrades. I hope we have a very good 2 days sessions with this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Herman, for that statement. Now we would like to proceed to the next session. I would like to invite Vijayan, who is a research scholar and policy analyst representing the Participatory Action Research Coalition India. Vijayan, please introduce C-OP2 approach and structure. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Ifang. And thank you very much, Comrade Herman Kumara, the General Secretary of World Forum of Fisher People, for a very inspiring message today on the World Ocean Day. At a time when, on the one hand, we are seeing the UN organizing an extremely skewed framework of an ocean conference with all sorts of corporates as stakeholders sitting on the table, while a large chunk of the small scale, or what we would call as traditional and sustainable fisher peoples, being completely left out. And I think this time, the World Forum of Fisher People took a very, very bold stand, like the last time, saying that we are not going to sit on that skewed table. We are going to boycott it. We are not going to be party to this tokenistic business of having some fisher people sit on the table while everybody else talks. So I think this time, the World Forum of Fisher People has given a global boycott call. It has made sure that none of the traditional small-scale sustainable fisher communities and organizations are in that room, on that table. We have made sure that as WFFP, we have given a clarion call to all our solidarity organizations, as Herman correctly put it, saying that this is a strong stand of the fishing community from across the world, that we are boycotting the UN Ocean Conference. We are boycotting this sham. We are boycotting the shame and the secret negotiations that they are doing against the interests of the traditional sustainable coastal communities, marine communities, inland communities, all in the name of an ocean conference. So this is where we are at the conference of the ocean people, a conference of the fisher people opposing the corporate-led UN Ocean Conference. It is being held today, the 8th of June, on World Ocean Day, and tomorrow on 9th of June as well at the same time. This is being organized by the World Forum of Fisher People with a whole host of allies, a whole set of organizations from across the world starting with the land rights movement, the La Via Campesina, the Friends of the Earth International, and many, many other movement networks, as well as solidarity organizations. I'm here, Vijay and MJ. I'm just here to talk to you about the architecture of this ocean conference of the people, the conference of the ocean people. The central theme is defying colonial capitalism, union for future of earth and oceans. So as you can see that this is a very clear clarion call against the colonial capitalist exploitation, expansion, and exploration that is intended to exploit the oceans further and deplete the marine resources. So here we have 2 days of conference, both days going up to 150 minutes. And there is a very balanced perspective coming in from the fishing community leaders from across the world. We have tried to make sure, the organizing team has tried to make sure that there is a great gender balance in this, as well as to make sure that there are academic research and UN representative voices. It is a significant achievement that we have 2 UN rapporteurs talking to us on this platform of the World Forum of Fisher People being held as the Conference of the Ocean People. So the day 1, the main theme is Assault on Ocean Peoples, the dangerous trajectory of the UN Ocean Conference, and the Blue Regimes. So today's day, we are actually going to have community leaders, experts, academicians, researchers, and solidarity organizations talking about this assault, the assault on the traditional sustainable communities. So that has many aspects. As you will see, the speaker after me, Comrade Saad from Gaza, he's going to talk about the occupation, militarization, and the conflict that is being done in Gaza that is depriving the fishing communities and every other Palestinian their right to life, livelihood, and dignity, human rights, peace, all of those. So similarly, as Herman said, from Palestine to Panama and from Alaska to Kerala, and I would dare add to that saying, the Wular Lake fishers of Kashmir, they are inland fishers, and they have all been denied their right to fish because their land and their forest, as well as the Wular Lake, are being privatized and being taken away from the communities. The Wular Lake in Jammu and Kashmir, in the Indian administered Kashmir, is one of the largest freshwater lakes in the whole of Asia. So this is the kind of pattern that you would see. Today we will be talking about this assault, and tomorrow, the day, because today we'll be talking about displacement, ocean grabbing, aquaculture, and the attack on inland fishers, and how the so-called factory farming of fish is completely taking over this, etc. But tomorrow we are going to talk about how the waters are rising, how the people of the waters, the equatorial people, the maritorial people are rising against this. Where is it that the battles for recognition, redistribution, reclamation, and reparations are being held, along with the question of representation of the community on those stakeholder tables and rooms, where these negotiations are currently secretly held. So I think this is the overall framework. As I said, we have a fantastic panel of speakers here in the Conference of the Ocean People for all of us to listen into, have discussions. This webinar format is just a beginning. The World Forum of Fisher People held a series of webinars prior to the last General Assembly, which was held in Brazil in November 2024. And this year onwards, the World Forum of Fisher People, along with its allies, will be holding a whole host of conversations to intellectually stimulate and make sure the ground communities are supported in their battle for survival, sustenance, and sustainability. So thank you very much from my side. Back to you, Fai and Ifang, our beautiful and best moderators, very powerful moderators from Solidarity Prism and the Movement Prism today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vijayan. So now We are going to Saad Ziada. Saad Ziada is the coordinator of the Union of Agricultural Work Committees in Gaza, or UAWC. This is a Palestinian non-governmental organization established in 1986 that focuses on agricultural development and empowerment of farmers in Palestine. Saad has been involved in advocating for the rights of Palestinian farmers and fishers, particularly in the face of challenges posed by Israeli occupation. So,
Hello. Hello.
are you
We
here?
hear you,
Okay,
comrade.
yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thanks for giving me this honor to be with you in this conference. Brothers and sisters, comrades in struggle, UN special reporters, invited guests, friends, and colleagues. We are gathered here today not merely to speak of food or land or the sea. We are here to speak of justice. We raise our voices for food sovereignty in Gaza to expose the violence of occupation, siege, and apartheid, and to defend the rights of Gaza's people to fish their own water, farm their own soil, and feed their own children without fear of drones, bullets, or starvation. Gaza today is not just a humanitarian crisis. It is a man-made catastrophe, engineered through military force, economic strangulation, and total enclosure. But Gaza is also the heart of resistance. Our movements, peasants, fisherfolk, workers, youth, stand not in pity, but in solidarity, grounded in the knowledge that justice must be louder than genocide. We gather here at this forum to talk about food sovereignty and ocean grabs. But for us in Gaza, these are not academic concepts. They are daily battles for survival and dignity. Food sovereignty is not a privilege. It is not about boutique labels or export quotas. It is about power, the power to grow, to fish, to eat, and to live according to our cultural and our needs. In Gaza, that power has been deliberately stripped away. Food aid has poured in for decades, and yet we are starving, not from lack of food, but from the weaponization of hunger. When Israeli occupation forces block food aid, Gaza has no alternatives. Why? Because our food system has been systematically dismantled. The blockade blocks imports and exports. Agricultural lands are bombed, bulldozers, or poisoned. Even seeds are restricted. Our aquifers are polluted. Our irrigation system lie shattered under rubble. Our bakeries are bombed and the grain silos destroyed. This is not just deprivation. This is deliberate starvation as a method of war. The so-called humanitarian poses have brought us nothing but false hope, while international institutions stand paralyzed or complicit. But food sovereignty is not just about access. It is about dignity, cultural, and resistance. In Gaza, even now, we are reclaiming ancestral farming techniques, saving seeds, and organizing community kitchen, not out of nostalgia, but because this is how we resist annihilation. Let us be clear. The occupation is the ultimate land grab. Since 1948, land has been stolen by force, by bulldozers, and by apartheid laws, while the West Bank is under severe threat of annexation with expansion of settlements and daily violence perpetrated by fanatic settlers against farmers who tend their land and mine their cattle. Farmers are shot for tending their olive trees, their properties destroyed. While in Gaza today, over 80% of Gaza's arable land is either inaccessible, destroyed, or lies within the Israeli designated buffer zone, which are in practice a free fire and no longer zones. Drones fly overhead as children try to water vegetables. Livestock die, not from disease, but from lack of fodder, lack of pasture, lack of air. This is not just theft. It is a campaign of erasure, a war on Palestinian memory, on rural life, on the connection between people and their land. But every seed planted today is a declaration of defiance. And what of the sea? Gaza's 40-kilometer coastline could and should be a lifeline, but it has become a front line, a prison wall of water. Fishermen are shot, imprisoned, and killed for daring to sail a few nautical miles. Boats are seized, nets are shredded. Over 90% of Gaza fishing sector has been destroyed. All fishermen have lost their equipment, properties, and livelihoods. Ports, landing sites, fish farms, all gone. Even now, some fishermen brave the waters on rafts made from broken refrigerators, risking their lives to bring back 1 kilo of fish to feed their families. And beneath these waters lie gas fields worth billions, resources now eyed by the same regime that bombed our homes. This is ocean grab, the colonial theft of marine life and natural wealth. The sea belonged to the people, not to occupiers, not to the warships, not to corporations. For generations, Gaza fisher folk have read the tides like scripture. Today, that knowledge is being drowned, not by waves, but by militarized borders and international silence. When Gaza fishers are forced to dock, our markets collapse, our children go hungry, the food chain breaks. We are being starved into silence, but we will not be silent. We are not victims. We are a movement from La Via Campesina to the World Forum of Fisher People, from Palestinian farmers to indigenous land defenders. We are connected by a shared vision: food for people, not for profit; sea for life, not for occupation. Social movement are front lines of global justice. We are resisting land grabs. We are defending fishing zones. We are organizing seed exchanges, rebuilding what been destroyed, and calling out the institutions and governments who arm and fund apartheid and genocide. The genocide in Gaza is live streamed, yet the word silence is deafening, or worse, some are complicit. But we are not alone. We have each other. We have transnational solidarity. It is a strategy. When we say from the river to the sea, we are not just demanding liberation. We are demanding food justice, climate justice, and end to settler colonialism. We mean soil without tanks, seas without gunboats, children with food on their plates, not trouble in their mouths. I speak on behalf of Gaza farmers, its fisher folk, its camp-bound youth. I speak on behalf of Union of Agricultural Work Committees, a social movement rooted in struggle, nourished by solidarity. Even under bombardment, we plant. Even under siege, we fish. Even in genocide, we organize. Every field that lies in ruins will bloom again. Every shoreline size will be reclaimed. Every seed saved is an act of freedom. I am sitting here speaking to you while the bombs fell around me, because we as Palestinians see the value of solidarity to achieve freedom and justice. As members of WFFB, we have felt your solidarity, and today we ask that solidarity be transformed into action. Not tomorrow, now, to stop the genocide. We do not have time, but we have each other. From the soil to the sea, let us reclaim our sovereignty. Long live Palestine. Palestine will be free. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saad, for that very powerful speech of yours. Guys, can we all give Saad a heart reaction, please, from our Zoom? Can we give Asad a heart reaction? Thank you very much, Asad. Long live the Palestinian people and free Palestine. So, for our next speaker is a small-scale fisher from the Brazilian Amazon, the national coordinator for the movement of artisanal fishers of Brazil, and one of the coordinating committee member of the WFFP. Let us call on Rosana Pinto.
Olá, camaradas, camaradas. Então, saudação a todos, gratidão por esse momento. Feliz Dia dos Oceanos, né? Então, é com muita garra, com muita determinação que nós estamos aqui nos contrapondo a esse modelo da ONU, né, esse tipo de conferência que não me representa, que não representa os pescadores e as pescadoras de pequena escala, que não representa o interesse dos direitos humanos. Então, essa conferência da ONU, como já foi dito, né, por demais companheiros que já me anteciparam, ela não me representa. E a conferência que nos representa é esta conferência que nós estamos aqui. É a conferência que não é da ONU, mas é da união nossa. É da união dos povos, dos povos das águas, dos povos dos oceanos, dos povos da pesca continental, né? Então, eu dizer assim que esse momento é muito gratificante para nós. É um momento em que nós estamos nos contrapondo a esse modelo capitalista, né? A esse modelo que tem destruído vidas, que tem destruído casas de muitas pessoas, né? Então, assim como em muitos países, tem acontecido o avanço do capitalismo sobre o mar, No Brasil também tem também acontecido. Na América Latina, a gente também vivencia esse processo. O processo do avanço dos resorts, o avanço dos parques eólicos, né, que são os offshore na praia e os offshores na água. Então, a gente está vivendo esse processo de tomada dos oceanos, né? A gente está vendo também o avanço da mineração e até próprio da exploração do petróleo que ameaça a foz do Rio Amazonas, não somente a foz do Rio Amazonas, mas também é um complexo, né, que vai do Rio Amazonas, pega Ceará, Rio Grande do Norte, Piauí, enfim, é um complexo que sai do norte para o nordeste e ameaçando até o sul do Brasil. Então, é para dizer assim que nesse momento é o momento que a gente está dizendo de fato o que é que nós queremos. Nós já vimos assim que muitos processos, muitas coisas que são colocadas pela ONU não têm representado o interesse dos povos das águas, tem representado o interesse do capitalismo, do colonialismo, né? Então, esse processo colonizador, ele tem chegado em muitos territórios, em muitas áreas, e tem transformado esses territórios que eram livres em colônias, né? E aí a gente está para dizer que nós não aceitamos isso. Nós tomamos um posicionamento de dizer que essa coisa de voluntariado não representa, de fato, o interesse do cumprimento dos seus deveres, porque toda vez que a ONU coloca algo dizendo que é voluntário, por exemplo, como a pesca de pequena escala, as diretrizes para a pesca de pequena escala que tem que ser voluntária para os governos, não é voluntário, tem que ser obrigatório para que eles cumpram e façam, de fato, se implementar os direitos dos pescadores e das pescadoras a nível mundial, né? Nós não podemos aceitar que essa simples fala de voluntariado sirva para nos sacrificar e nos colocar como responsáveis por algo que não chega a acontecer, quando esse cumprimento não pode ser da sociedade civil, ela tem que ser colocada como cumprimento de lei para os governos, eles têm que cumprir, fazer se a lei se cumprir. Nós temos vivenciado esse processo de exploração, a gente tem vivenciado esse processo de degradação do meio ambiente, né? Da violação dos direitos humanos. Muitas das vezes se fala em direitos humanos, mas onde é que está o nosso direito quando nós, defensores dos direitos humanos, estamos sendo ameaçados? Não temos garantia, de fato, de dormir e acordar no outro dia. Quantos companheiros têm morrido nos seus territórios, têm sido jogados no mar, têm sido jogados nos rios, têm sido tombados, tirados suas vidas por conta desses espaços que nós estamos fazendo luta, né? Então, é preciso que os companheiros, a gente agradece desde já todos aqueles e aquelas que estão aqui conosco apoiando esta conferência solidária, né? Porque então estão sendo solidários ao nosso povo, estão sendo solidários a nós. Então, a gente agradece assim por esse comitê maravilhoso, responsável, que preparou esse momento para que a gente estivesse aqui. A gente agradece imensamente a cada intérprete que está aqui nos colaborando, porque faz com que nós, de diferentes países, de diferentes idiomas, estivéssemos nos comunicando nesse momento. Então, solidariedade é isso, é a união dos povos, e nós estamos aqui unidos. Nós estamos aqui unidos para nos contrapor esse modelo capitalista, esse modelo que não representa o interesse, né, dos povos das águas, né? E nós não somos apenas o território, né? Nós somos os oceanos, nós somos as águas e nós somos um povo. Nós somos o povo que luta para garantir os nossos direitos. Nós somos esse povo que luta para garantir com que os nossos oceanos não sejam todos acaparados, para que não seja tomado pelas grandes indústrias, para que não seja tomado pelas grandes corporações. Então, nós somos esse povo que estamos lutando para que os nossos rios não sejam barrados, né? Para que os nossos açudes para que o nosso povo também tenha liberdade, mesmo dentro dos açudes, né? Então, é preciso que as nossas praias não sejam tomadas, para que esses resorts tenham uma forma de não violar os direitos da nossa população. Nesse momento, assim, eu quero ir encerrando assim, a minha fala, né, e agradecendo já assim, dizendo assim, gratidão pela solidariedade, não somente pelo Dia dos Oceanos, mas por todos os dias de nossas vidas, né? Por todas as colaborações que também têm chegado até mim, até minha família, e vocês, muitos aqui sabem do que eu estou falando. Né? Então, dizer assim que a luta segue, e nós não vamos desistir jamais, porque essa luta é nossa, essa luta é do povo, dos oceanos, do povo das águas, do povo dos territórios tradicionais, essa luta é dos pescadores de pequena escala. Muito obrigada.
Thank you so much, Susanna, for your very powerful statement highlighting the state's obligation vis-a-vis human rights and also the fact that we're together here to fight against corporate takeover and the encroachment of the waters. Thank you so much again, Susanna. Now we would like to invite our next speaker, Andre Standing. Andre is a senior advisor at the Coalition of Fair Fisheries Arrangement, which is a platform of European and African-based organizations that raises awareness about the impact of the EU-Africa fisheries arrangements. Today, Andre will be sharing us his thoughts on ocean finance and corporate capture. Andre, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm really honored to be invited to speak to you all today. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just getting some feedback from some translators. Let me just switch that off. Yeah, so I'm speaking to you today from Costa Rica. As I said, I'm really honored to be invited to share some thoughts. Now, the theme that I work on mostly is the financialization of conservation. Now, next week in these big UN meetings on how to save the oceans, one of the major themes that will be discussed is how to raise more private capital to support conservation. And you will all be aware that this theme has been very high on the international agenda for a long time, at least a decade. Now, one of the financial instruments that is making a lot of people very excited are called debt swaps, or for us, debt for ocean swaps. They're going to be heavily promoted next week, particularly in the finance meeting. Now, they are seen by organizations such as the UN as ingenious solutions to two problems. One of them is reducing the debt crisis in southern countries. And the second one is that they generate a lot of money to close the funding gap for conservation. So they're really considered to have the potential to become one of the major sources of money for ocean conservation over the next few years. Already, deals in Belize, Barbados, Gabon, El Salvador have generated, and Ecuador have generated about $4.5 billion. So they are very important instruments for you to know about. And 5 US NGOs last year set themselves a target of refinancing debt worth $100 billion by 2030. So you should understand that debt swaps are very big and important transactions that will spread into more and more countries. So you need to understand how they work and why they are so problematic, particularly for fisherfolk. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about these transactions because they're very complicated, and that is part of their problem. But essentially, they involve US NGOs predominantly lending money to your governments so the governments can use this money or some of it to refinance bad debt. But there's also other conditions and other use of the money that's added on top of them. There's a lot of variation between debt swaps, and some are less bad than others. But, you know, I think that the US model, these NGOs such as the Nature Conservancy, are really leading the way, and they are going to be the main players in the next few years. So I just want to run through some very simple points about why I think these debt swaps are so problematic. And of course, lots of other organizations who've looked at these debt swaps, including from the perspective of small-scale fishers and artisanal fishers, also agree that there's a lot of problems about them. Unfortunately, the UN doesn't recognize any of these criticisms. So they only ever present a positive model, and they don't recognize years of advocacy against these debt swaps. So when we look at the problems, I think we need to first understand a bigger picture. And that is, the conservation world has gone through a process of financialization. And the big US NGOs are now in partnership with asset management companies and private banks. And they've created a strong partnership for over a decade. And this is, you know, a very inappropriate group of players who are supposed to be given this much power to conserve and save the oceans. Now, of course, debt swaps are presented as these brilliant deals that are going to reduce debt crisis in countries. This is simply not true. They are opportunistic deals that generate money for NGOs and intermediary financial institutions, a lot of money. But they don't really reduce the debt crisis. They're not a solution to the debt crisis. They are also very opaque transactions. And I mean, there's very little transparency. So they are deals that involve new companies being established in offshore tax havens that are moving millions of dollars around. And we can't always find out who owns those companies, how much they're making in these deals. So they are very opaque, and they're quite vulnerable to forms of corruption and conflicts of interest. Whilst these deals are celebrated for giving southern countries money, what is rarely explained clearly is that these deals come with conditionalities attached to the transactions. And these conditions last for 20 to 30 years. And they are conditions linked to changes to how fisheries are managed, to the increase in marine protected areas, to blue carbon trading, all sorts of things. So they're not just giving money to southern countries, they are telling southern countries how to manage their fisheries and ocean space. Now, one of the biggest problems is that they don't involve participation with people most affected, the fisher folk. These are transactions that are managed behind closed doors, and you'll only find out about them once they've been finalized. So they don't empower people to have a say over their oceans. Now, ultimately, they transfer enormous wealth and power to unelected US NGOs who are working in partnership with private banks and financial institutions. And I think that is one of the major themes where we have to push back against these sorts of transactions. They're also transactional deals, and they involve the US government in the background. And as we know with the era of Trump, that they are very opportunistic for other deals to be done. So, for example, in Ecuador, the debt swap, which was used to enlarge the marine protected areas in Galapagos, was also linked to a military agreement to open a US military establishment in the Galapagos. There was also a debt swap in El Salvador, which we think may be linked to other deals between the US government and El Salvador. So these debt swaps are very complicated. They're going to become bigger and bigger over the next few years. And I think it is really important for people to understand the risks and the downsides to these deals. And I would suggest that we need to have more meetings on this, bringing in other experts, and really spend some time educating ourselves about how they work and why they're so problematic. So I'll finish there. And again, thanks so much for involving me in the meeting.
Thank you so much, Andre. I think you really managed to, in such a short time, share with us why debt swaps are problematic, that it's not a solution. By no way, it's a win-win solution, and there's so many risks involved. And I really just want to conclude that today we will not be able to unpack maybe some of the questions that the audience will have, but hopefully we'll have future opportunities for more meetings to engage with you. Thank you so much, Andre. Thank you. Okay, then we will move to the next session. I would like to then kindly invite Rehema Rehema Namaganda from FIAN Uganda. Rehema is a country coordinator of FIAN Uganda, which is the national section of FIA International, the Right to Food organization. In her role, she leads initiatives addressing land and water tenure, fisheries, food sovereignty, and legal protections against forced evictions. She will talk today on militarization of the lake in Uganda. The floor is yours, Rehema. Welcome.
Thank you, Yifang. Are you please able to share the screen of the picture that I shared with you? The one slide I shared with you earlier, but if not, no worries. Greetings, everyone, and I want to thank WFFP for organizing this important meeting. My name is Namaganda Rehema, and like Yifang said, I want to talk about or share my brief insights on a pressing matter, and that is the growing militarization of fisheries, which is happening in many countries in small-scale fisheries. This issue happening in Uganda. In the recent years, since the year 2017, the government of Uganda has intensified enforcement operations around all major lakes in the country. And this was started in the name of combating what is referred to as illegal fishing, when all of a sudden fishing gears that were licensed before that time were termed illegal. They became illegal all of a sudden. And the army was put in charge of controlling fish on all major lakes. They patrol the lake day and night. These operations often involve heavily armed personnel that use force, intimidation, arbitrary arrests. Sometimes they confiscate boats, but many times they burn down nets and fishing boats. And many times they detain fisher people, men and women, without due process. Of course, regulation is very important, and we need to regulate. But in this case, the way it's being done has eroded the rights, the dignity, the livelihoods of people in fishing community. This approach, when you look at it, it's definitely driven by economic and political interests, because fisheries is one of the important sources of forex earning for the country. So the country has an urgent need to push for more fish exports, especially the Nile perch, targeting international markets. But let's be clear on this. This is not just an issue of fisheries or controlling fisheries. It is a human rights issue. In fact, I would say it's a human rights crisis. Talk about the right to livelihood. Thousands of families that depend on fishing have lost their only source of income. They face daily harassment and they live in fear. The right to food, right to freedom of movement, right to justice, and many other related rights are not only denied, but actually violated. Women in fishing communities, especially those that are involved in processing and selling fish, have been affected the most. They have reported harassment, extortion, and in some cases, even sexual violence at the hands of the security forces. So we must ask ourselves, why is this happening? What is causing all this, and what do we need to do? One clear issue is that there's a lot of commodification of fisheries, where we are increasingly treating fish not as food first, but we are looking at fish as a source of export, as a source of foreign exchange, because we want to export it. And definitely, we need to get forex exchange, but at what cost? We have also had a lot of policies that are top-down, that policies and laws that exclude the very people that live and work on the lake. people that do protect this resource. There's a lot of abuse of power, of course, and this has many times gone without accountability, without explanations. We have very weak accountability mechanisms that have kind of allowed our leaders and institutions to abuse power without any clear consequences. My take, therefore, is that we must all people in fishing communities, all civil society organizations working and supporting fisher communities, we need to start thinking about a paradigm shift. We need to start shifting from this militarization to more of a community-based and human rights-centered governance of fisheries. We need to demilitarize, especially in our countries where this is happening with very big consequences to the livelihoods of people. We need to empower the local fisher communities through local management structures, and we need to put this in practice. At the global level, I think it's high time that donors and international organizations stop funding militarized approaches to conservation and enforcement. If we keep funding and supporting these conservation approaches, who are we conserving for and how, with what consequences? So we need to support the global recognition of small-scale fisher rights. We have a very strong instrument, that is the FAO Voluntary Guidelines for Securing Small-Scale Sustainable Fisheries. I think we need to be aggressive on making sure that our governments do respect and implement the SSF guidelines. So in brief, I would want to say that fisheries should not be treated as battlefields. They should be sources of life. They should be sources of food sovereignty and dignity. We need to listen and stand with the fisher folk, especially in this moment. Thank you so much, Shifang, and yeah, thank you everyone for this discussion.
Thank you very much, Rehema, for joining us from Uganda, especially highlighting how militarization of the lake violates different kinds of human rights, in particular women. You also share with us the importance of having fishers, those who fish and use resources, to participate in laws that shape their lives. And I really also liked how you conclude by saying how we need to stop funding conservations that violate SSF rights, and also highlighting SSF guidelines. So thank you so much, Rehema, for that. I would then like to move to the next speaker, Alfonso Simon Reylan. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name not correctly, from Panama. He's from Indicato de Trabajadores del Mar. Alfonso, you're with us today. As Alfonso, as many of you know, he's fighting at the forefront against the state's oppression as he speaks to us today. So welcome, Alfonso. The floor is yours.
Muy buenos días a todos, al público presente. Primeramente, agradecerle a nuestro Padre Creador, Jehová Dios, que nos da un vida diarios y que nos da el pan de cada día. Primeramente, quiere empezar diciéndole que el océano depende de nosotros, y nosotros depende del océano. El mundo depende del océano por su alimentación y el océano depende del mundo por su protección. Mucha gente no piensa en eso. Mucha gente piensa que como existe un océano, hay que destruirlos. No es así. El océano, como dependemos de ella también depende de nosotros en muchas maneras. Hace más de 536 años, el pueblo indígena de Panamá, llamado Novo Bugle, ha sido perseguidos y violentado su derecho por el gobierno panameños. Ha sido masacrados, ha querido destruir, pero siempre y cuando el Creador, Dios, que está en el cielo, siempre está con los humildes y con los pobres. En este sentido, nosotros de Panamá, los pescadores de esta región, estamos siendo perseguidos en este momento. A nosotros nos decretaron la veda científica, nos decretaron la veda científica hace, nos decretaron la científica hace 15 años, pero le puedo contar que nosotros tenemos también una veda natural. Veda natural es que esa veda se fija por el tiempo, la climas. Y veda científico fue declarado el día 2010, de 2010 hasta 2015 hoy. Y el gobierno y la organización que levantó este movimiento veda científica nos ofreció muchas cosas, pero eso jamás se ha cumplido y nunca se cumplirá. Ahora, las otras partes del tema que se habla, mucha gente está hablando que es el bien para los pescadores, pero la persona que conoce del tema dicen y están diciendo que no es beneficio para los pescadores. Y desde este punto de vista, yo he dicho que no beneficiamos de estos. ¿Sí? En este momento se está hablando de la famosa palabra meta 30 por 30. Se dice que es la conservación marina de 30% más, pero sin ninguna garantía a nuestros pescadores. Cuando se están hablando de la economía en azul, bono azul, meta 30 por 30, esa extensión del océano, ¿qué garantía le ha puesto sobre la mesa a los pescadores del mundo y a los pescadores de Panamá? En Panamá, en mi región, la única fuente de nuestros ingresos es la pesca. Aparte de la pesca, para nosotros costeños, no tenemos otro ingreso, no tenemos otro rubro a donde agarrarnos para darle la educación, para darle la salud, la alimentación a nuestra familia. No tenemos, no tenemos. Y como le he dicho siempre, y como le he dicho siempre, como le he dicho siempre, eh, tierra tenemos, pero nosotros por nosotros mismos no podemos hacer ninguna movilizaciones grandes, una exportación por toneladas de algunos productos. No tenemos, no lo vemos. No hay gobierno, no se ha levantado el voz a decirnos que buenos, vamos a aceptar esto, vamos a proteger el mar, pero vamos a darle esto a ustedes para la garantía de la vida de ustedes. El gobierno no nos ha dicho esto. Los únicos que el gobierno no ha hecho es masacrar, atropellar, suicidar, eliminar a los pescadores, a los pueblos indígenas, a pueblos originarios de Panamá. Es lo único, ese programa muy bueno. En esa vida, Panamá está viviendo ahorita mismo. El gobierno de nuestro
Alfonso, are you still with us?
país nos tienes aturdido totalmente, totalmente aplastado en todos los movimientos. No hay nada por nada para Panamá, para el pueblo indígena. Hasta la educación paralizados, trabajo paralizados. Un solo empresa paralizó el trabajo para más de 7,000 obreros, que fueron los bananeros Chiquita Panamá. Entonces nosotros
Looks like we have
I'm
lost
afraid
the
that he's
speaker.
probably.
Yeah.
Can somebody check if he's still with us?
We lost Alfonso.
Okay. Okay.
He has
It's a
rejoined,
real
but
pity. I would like to send.
he's here, but I think his connection is too bad. His audio is on, but his connection is too bad.
Alfonso, can you hear us? Are you with us?
Yo sigo con mi discurso. Se me fue la señal.
I feel
Se
like
me
he
fue la
may be
señal.
talking, but we just don't hear him.
Yo
Now
sigo
we are
con mi
able to
discurso.
hear him.
Should we
Ifan,
proceed?
how long Alfonso still had?
You hear him, okay.
How long Alfonso still have to conclude?
Okay,
¿Aló?
thanks.
Alfonso, creo
Alfonso
que
still
puedes
has 2
concluir.
minutes.
¿Puedes concluir tu fala, por favor?
Sí. Entonces, ¿qué quiere decir? Nosotros estamos siendo masacrados por nuestro gobierno y no nos tiene ayuda en nada. Así que yo quiero decirles a estas conferencias, las donaciones que la Organización de las Naciones Unidas reparte para el pueblo indígena de América Latina y el Caribe. ¿Dónde llega ese fondo? Ese fondo no llega al pueblo indígena de Panamá. Si llegó a Panamá, eso llegó en manos del gobierno. Y ese no llega a la región indígena. Por eso yo he querido decir, yo he querido pedir que si es un apoyo de las organizaciones o Organización de las Naciones Unidas, que sea directamente para el pueblo originario, el pueblo indígena, que sea con las organizaciones del pueblo indígena de Panamá. Esto es lo que yo he querido decir. Panamá ahorita mismo están todos silenciosos. Todo está silencioso en este momento por razones de que no.
Okay. No, I think we would all really want to send Alfonso our deepest solidarity, and thanks to Alfonso for sharing with us lived experiences, the brutality of the government and how movements are strongly, courageously fighting against. So I really would like to thank Alfonso. Unfortunately, we lost him. So let's see if he could get connected. But I think meanwhile, if we can move to the next speaker, then may I kindly invite Jean-Pierre Kupale from the collective of Tanganyika Fishers Associations. Jean-Pierre, are you here with us? If you're here with us, if you could just unmute yourself and then share. Is he now with us?
Ifang, he's there. Jean-Pierre Capaldi, I can see his. Jean, could you speak in the main audio, in the main English channel? You might be speaking in the translation channel. Jean-Pierre, could you just shift to the main audio channel?
Can we maybe get one of the interpreters to explain to Jean-Pierre in French?
Salut Jean-Pierre, est-ce que je peux vous aider? Vous voulez parler en français? Il ne faut que commencer à parler et les interprètes vous traduiront. Est-ce que vous pouvez essayer de parler? On ne vous écoute pas. Je ne sais pas si vous êtes en train de parler. So I've just asked him to speak because his mic is apparently on, but I'm not sure if he's listening.
If he's only listening to the French channel right now, could the French translator just repeat that message of he having to shift from the French channel to the main audio?
I've just seen that Jean-Pierre turned his mic off and on. I assume that he's trying to speak, but we cannot hear you, Jean-Pierre. I'm sorry. Perhaps if you are using earphones, you can plug them off and on to see if your computer recognizes them, or if your computer will take your audio directly from the mic. Oh, we hear something now.
Allô, c'est bon? Ah,
Are we good to go, June?
d'accord. Je peux?
Okay, great. So Jean-Pierre, please. We'd love to hear you.
D'accord. Bonjour tout le monde. Je suis très content de revoir encore Madame Christiana qui était vraiment malade et Jossana. Nous rendons grâce à Dieu pour ça. Et je remercie aussi tous les leaders de WFFP qui m'ont accordé la parole pour partager le peu de temps sur cette thématique de les conséquences climatique sur le pêcheur. En fait, je me suis, la méthodologie que j'ai utilisée, c'est, j'ai mené une petite enquête auprès de pêcheurs localement ici à Calémie, et puis je parlais avec certains amis au téléphone au Rwanda, au Burundi, au Maroc, en Tanzanie. Et ensuite, j'ai fait les observations libres. Et enfin, j'ai lu certains rapports des différentes rencontres des ONG internationales et des Nations Unies. Alors, et nous sommes arrivés à certains résultats. Tout d'abord, je voudrais définir les concepts rapidement. Le changement climatique, comme tout le monde le sait, ce sont les modifications du climat accompagnées d'une augmentation générale des températures moyennes au niveau mondial. Et puis, l'agent causal de ce changement climatique, c'est l'être humain qui est le plus grand responsable parce que les animaux ne dérangent jamais l'environnement. Les conséquences de ce changement climatique, il y en a 4, le plus grand. Le rendement des cultures, les risques accrus de sécheresse, la perte de la biodiversité, d'incendies de forêts et des vagues de chaleur. Touche directement l'homme. Changement sur le péché. C'est ça qui nous intéresse. Les impacts sont sur 3 plans. Il y a le plan économique, le plan environnemental et le plan social. Et ce qui nous intéresse de plus, c'est le plan environnemental. Que ce facteur de changement climatique apporte et a un impact négatif sur la vie des pêcheurs. C'est-à-dire, il y a hausse des températures des eaux, baisse d'oxygène limitant la croissance des poissons, effondrement des stocks halieutiques, perturbation des cycles biologiques et de migration, et puis la dégradation des habitats des poissons et des pêcheurs. Ça, c'est la conséquence du réchauffement climatique sur le plan environnemental. Et ça, c'est presque général à travers le monde. Alors, sur le plan social, il y a la destruction des sites et villages de pêcheurs, surtout dans les pays sous-développés. Parce que récemment, au Sénégal, au Congo, au Rwanda, au Burundi, même en Tanzanie, beaucoup de villages de pêcheurs ont été engloutis par la montée des eaux du lac Tanganyika. J'ai publié beaucoup d'articles à ce sujet-là. Il y a aussi les déplacements massifs de pêcheurs. Et ce déplacement massif de pêcheurs rend le pêcheur vulnérable. Parfois, il y a des fortes pluies qui tombent la nuit et ça emporte tout le matériel de pêcheurs. Ça, c'est l'une des conséquences sur le plan social. Et même les conflits. Enfin, sur le plan économique, il y a la perte de revenus sensibles des pêcheurs par la baisse des captures. Alors, je n'ai que 8 minutes. Nous sommes arrivés à la conclusion selon laquelle Les crises climatiques ne sont pas une abstraction. Elles sont là, elles sont visibles dans nos filets, dans nos villages, dans nos pirogues, dans nos vies quotidiennes. Il est temps d'écouter la voix des pêcheurs et de ceux qui vivent au rythme des océans, de mers, des lacs et des rivières. Et puis, je passe à un appel, tous les pêcheurs du monde. Ensemble, protégeons notre patrimoine naturel, qui est soit les lacs, soit les océans, soit les mers, contre toute forme d'accaparement. Car notre avenir et c'est dont nos enfants en dépend. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre, for sharing with us the study that you did, the impact of climate change, the different levels of how the climate change impact fisher people. And I really want to highlight what you said, listen to fisher people and not those false solutions that are being implemented by governments and that are implemented in the interest of corporate. So I really want to thank you, Jean-Pierre. Thank you very much. I would like to thank all the speakers who have spoken so far, highlighting the militarization of the oceans, connecting also to the financialization of the waters. For us, this is just different tentacles of the same corporate capture. I would like now for us to move to the next subtheme of the ocean economy and the blue regimes of the Conference of the Ocean Peoples. And over to you, Faye.
Thank you very much, Hipang, and thank you very much to our last speaker, Jean-Pierre. Now we will go on and talk about the ocean economy and the blue regimes, and to talk about the offshore projects and the expansion of the ocean economy from the Association of Thailand Federation of Fisher Folks in Thailand. May we call on Layed Mengsai. Please slide Mengsai here. Okay, and if Light Mengsai is not yet here, we can go to our next speaker, and we will go back again to Layed. So next speaker is the chairperson of the National Fish Workers Forum in India, which is a 4-decade-old federation of independent trade unions and organizations across the country. This is an organization that has advocated for the rights of the fisher people and coastal communities. So let me call on Ramakrishna Tandel from National Fish Workers Forum.
Hello. Hello.
The floor is yours.
Hello.
जी
Can
रामेश्वर
hear
भाई,
you.
आपका आवाज आ
Yes,
रहा
yes.
है, प्लीज स्पीक,
हाँ,
प्लीज स्पीक।
Okay. So
आप अपना वीडियो ऑन कर
here,
सकते
मैं जा वीडियो on video because of the hostess.
वीडियो ऑन नहीं हुआ, लेकिन आप बात कर सकते हैं। हाँ,
Okay, no problem. So dear comrades, WFP from around the world, warm greeting to each one of you. I am Ramakrishna Tandel, speaking on behalf of the National Fish Workers Forum, NFF, as its chairperson. NFF is India's largest collective of traditional, artisanal, and sustainable fisher peoples governed by our customary rights and Indian constitution. Since the late 1970s, NFF has resisted destructive state policies that favor industrial and mechanized fishing. We had the struggle against bottom trawling and defeated the disastrous joint ventures plans that invited foreign trawlers to sweep the Indian Ocean. Since then, we have demanded coast and marine resources. We are in conference of the Ocean People's Assembly 2025, hosted by the World Forum of Fisher Peoples in 2017. NFF broadly okay, Vijayan. Now listening. हेलो
रामेश्वर भाई, आपका आवाज नहीं आ रहा है, बहुत ब्रेक हो रहा है आवाज.
Network problem. So
we can hear you now. Speak.
Now clear? Yeah. Now clear? Okay. Recently, along our western coast, larger vessels, MSC ELCC3 ran around close to a major fishing zone. The community noticed the signs immediately: an oily film in the water, dead fish floating, and the complete absence of regular marine species. Fishing was halted for days. Livelihoods were disturbed overnight, but not a single agency showed up to speak to the fishers, to assess the marine damage, or to compensate the affected families. There was no marine pollution protocol activated, no coordinations between the Pollution Control Board, the Coast Guards, or the Fisheries Department, no recognition that the fisher people are the first victims of coastal industrial disasters. Tomorrow, on 9th June, our fishers are going to carry the plastic waste and chemicals to the central and state governments in a symbolic protest march being organized by KSMTF in Kerala. This is not just mismanagement, it is willful negligence. The state failed to even acknowledge that a pollution event had occurred. And this is the reality across India's coast. Every year, oil spills, chemical discharges, plastics waste from industrial zones, and untreated sewage from expanding towns enter the fishing grounds. The consequences are deadly loss of fish stock, health disorders in women fish vendors, and rising tension in coastal families. But since we are poor, since we live without title deeds, the system treats our pain as invisible. The port development agenda in India today is not just about building harbors, it is about snatching land, displacing fishing villages, and criminalizing fishers' resistance. In Hanover, Karnataka, fishing communities opposed the construction of commercial port. Their houses were survived, their sacred shrines marked for demolition. When they protest peacefully, more than 30 fishers, including young women, were beaten and arrested by police. A fisher leader's wife fainted after police entered their home without a warrant. The district administration filed false charges under anti-right laws. They are being punished for defending their coast. In Vijayanagram, Kerala, the Adani Group's deep sea sport has devastated traditional harbors, subjected fishers people to violence. Fisher families have lost homes to sea erosions caused by dredging. Boats can no longer anchor safety. The coastline is reshaped for container terminals, not people. Fisherwomen from nearby villages who tried to hold a dharna were lathi charges by police. The state is colliding with resistance. In Trivandrum district, more than 80 fishermen have died in the last decade due to construction of breakwater. In Wadwan, Maharashtra, a mega port is planned by the central government with direct foreign investment. The traditional Koli fishers who have fished there for generations are not even counted as stakeholders. The environmental impact assessments reports never mention their livelihoods. Across all these cases, the story is the same. Ports are being built in the name of economic growth, but they are erasing the fishing communities that build the economy of the coast. The Indian government says we are part of the blue economy, but in truth, the blue economy in India is a code word for coastal land grabbing and resource privatization. Under the Prime Minister's Fisheries Program, PMMSY, billions of rupees are being spent not to help traditional fishers, but to support big trawlers owners with subsidies for deep sea vessels, corporations to set up industrial scale fish processing plants, exporters to build cold storage chains, private farms to run intensive aquaculture farms. Meanwhile, traditional fishers are being pushed out of their customary fishing zones. Inland Dalit and Adivasi fishers are losing access to tanks and lakes due to privatization. Fishermen who sell in local markets have no access to loans or market stalls. The PMMSY uses the language of empowerment, but in practice, it channels public money into corporate hands. This is not a support scheme, but a plan for dispossessions. It prioritizes aquaculture, seaweed farming, pearl, oyster cultivation, and open sea cage culture, which requires high capital and infrastructures. It's pushed to harness the potential of deep sea fisheries, translates into expensive deep sea vessels and motherships that are entirely out of reach for traditional fishers. Under PMSY, central support for ice plant and cold storage units up to rupees 50 lakhs each is largely commanded by export-oriented and industrial fishing companies. At the same time, traditional fishers continue to operate without cold chain access, facing fish spoilage, unsafe storage, and steep losses in lean seasons. Despite the official narrative, PMMSY remains a policy for mechanized and corporate fisheries and not for small-scale customary fisher folks. This is why we say the blue economy is not blue. It is a blood red with the loss of our rights. The time has come for to legally recognize its fishers communities not as beneficiaries but as custodians of the coast and water bodies. We are demanding a Coastal Rights Act similar to the Forest Right Act that will recognize marine territories used traditionally by fishers, ensure our rights over beach landing, fish drying, and encroaching spaces give us legal power in environmental decisions, prevent displacement without community consent. We also demand an Inland Customary Fisheries Rights Act to protect the rights of the Dalit, Adivasi, and backward fishing communities who are excluded from your policy today. They are denied fishing leases, removed from lakes, and harassed by local elites or forest department. Their cultural practices and ecological knowledge must be protected through law. These legislations are not symbolic, they are essential to defend our life, labor, and dignity. In the face of all these, we are not staying silent. Across the country, fisher youth are learning how to map their territories, use digital tools, and fight legally. In Tamil Nadu, our comrades Jesu led a campaign where local youth created community maps for the coastal zones management plans CZMP. These maps showed where they fish, where they dry nets, where the women sit to sort fish. The government refused to accept this map, so they went to the High Court of Madras and won. The court ruled that CZMP maps must include community participation and cannot be made only by consultants and bureaucrats. This is a historic legal
Krishna,
victory. Yes?
can you hear
One,
me?
one more
Hello,
minute. Huh?
excuse me.
Sorry to
We can
interrupt.
maybe we can wrap up. Ram,
Yeah.
Comrade Krishna, maybe we can wrap up. So yeah.
One more minute. One more minute. Huh? Women's groups who are also
Okay.
training themselves in legal awareness. They are fighting for rights to beach spaces, clean toilets, health care, and market access. We are building a new generation of leaders, strong, informed, and fearless. Comrades, our demand is clear. We want law, not welfare. We want justice, not charity. Fishers' rights legislation is the goal of NFF. We are training our youth and women leaders not only to resist destruction, but to imagine and lead an alternative futures, one where the sea is not for sale, one where fisher are not prisoners of developments, one where the coast belongs to the people who protect it. Let us stand together. Let us make our maps, raise our voices, and pass our laws. Jai Matsyajeevi, Jai Samudra. Long live the struggle of ocean and water peoples. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ramkrishna Tandel of NFF India. Sorry for cutting you short, but we have a very limited time. So maybe now we can go back to Laid Mengsai from the Association of Thailand Federation of Fisher Folks. Is Laid Mengsai ready? Please tell him to turn on his mic.
ครับฮัลโหลได้ยินไหมครับครับสวัสดีครับผม
Okay, we can.
ครับสมาคม
Yes,
ส
we
มาพัน
can
ธ์
hear you.
ประเทศไทยอะครับคือโครงการพัฒนาบริเวณชายฝั่งที่เข้ามาคุกคามในพื้นที่เขตทะเลชายฝั่งซึ่งก็ต้องยอมรับโครงการเหล่านี้มีผลกระทบกับชาวพื้นบ้านแน่นอนนะครับที่ผ่านมานะครับประเทศไทยเองพยายามยัดเยียดโครงการขนาดใหญ่สู่ริมชายฝั่งนะครับโดยท่ามกลางกฎหมายปกติหมายถึงว่าในท่ามกลางกฎหมายปกติเองชาวประมงพื้นบ้านเองนักพัฒนาเองที่มาช่วยในการปกป้องทรัพยากรของพี่น้องเราหน้าบ้านของพี่น้องนะครับก็เป็นไปอย่างพอต่อสู้กันได้พอคุยกันได้นะครับท่ามกลางกฎหมายปกติแต่ว่าณปัจจุบันประเทศไทยเป็นเรื่องที่แปลกนะครับประเทศไทยเป็นเรื่องที่แปลกก็คือหมายถึงว่านักลงทุนขนาดใหญ่บวกกับนักการเมือง นะครับพยายามออกกฎหมายนะครับออกกฎหมายที่ไม่เป็นกฎหมายเหมือนเดิมหมายถึงว่าเป็นกฎหมายที่พิเศษนะครับเอื้อผลประโยชน์ให้กับนายทุนที่จะมาพัฒนาริมชายฝั่งครับยกตัวอย่างที่ผ่านมานะครับประเทศไทยกำลังจะออกกฎหมายพิเศษคือหมายถึงว่ากฎหมายพัฒนาเขตเศรษฐกิจพิเศษภาคใต้หรือใช้ชื่อย่อๆคำว่า SEC นะครับกฎหมายเหล่านี้สามารถยกเลิกกฎหมายที่มีอยู่เดิมไม่ว่ากฎหมายที่ดินไม่ว่ากฎหมายเจ้าท่าไม่ว่ากฎหมายทรัพยากรทางทะเลชายฝั่งหรือกฎหมายประมงเองก็ตามนะครับคือกฎหมายที่มีอยู่เดิมก็สามารถยกเลิกได้ซึ่งไม่ปฏิบัติตามในเมื่อกฎหมายฉบับใหม่เกิดขึ้นจึงใช้ชื่อว่ากฎหมายเขตเศรษฐกิจพิเศษภาคใต้สิ่งเหล่านี้นะครับสิ่งเหล่านี้ทำให้ชุมชนชายฝั่งชาวประมงพื้นบ้านนะครับมีผลกระทบแน่นอนนะครับไม่ว่าเรื่องของอาชีพดั้งเดิมนะครับที่ดินทรัพยากรไม่ว่าป่าไม้ชายหาดชายฝั่งนะครับรวมไปถึงปะการังทั้งหมดนะครับมีผลกระทบแน่นอนเพราะว่าเมื่อพัฒนาโครงการพัฒนากฎหมายฉบับที่เป็นพิเศษได้ก็นำไปสู่โครงการขนาดใหญ่ที่มาคุกคามริมชายฝั่งยกตัวอย่างแลนด์บีชบ้างท่าเรือขนาดใหญ่บ้างถมทะเลบ้างนะครับสิ่งเหล่านี้นะครับไม่ว่าปิโตรเคมีโรงงานอุตสาหกรรมต่างๆที่เข้ามาลุกล้ำในเขตพื้นที่ชายฝั่งและอีกอย่างหนึ่งนะครับสิ่งที่มันเกิดผลกระทบกับพี่น้องเรานะครับก็คือสร้างความแตกแยกนะครับเพราะโครงการเหล่านี้ใช้กลุ่มทุนหมายถึงว่าซื้อทั้งนักการเมืองซื้อทั้งชาวบ้านบางคนที่ไม่ค่อยเข้าใจและสร้างความแตกแยกให้กับหมู่พวกพ้องพี่น้องเราเองสิ่งเหล่านี้นะครับคือเป็นภัยคุกคามตั้งแต่ผมเกิดมาจำความได้ก็คือเอาเป็นว่าเป็นภัยคุกคามที่เต็มรูปแบบนะครับเพื่อจะกอบโกยทรัพยากรชายฝั่งไปสู่การพัฒนาโครงการหรือไปสู่การพัฒนากลุ่มทุนเพื่อเอื้อให้กลุ่มทุนขนาดใหญ่ผมยกตัวอย่างง่ายๆถ้ากฎหมายฉบับใหม่นะครับกฎหมายฉบับพิเศษเกิดขึ้นทำให้คนต่างชาตินะครับซึ่งเข้ามาทำการทำงานในประเทศไทยได้มาเช่าซื้อที่ดินได้มีสามารถถือครองโฉนดได้อันนี้มันก็คุกคามมันก็ละเมิดสิทธิของความเป็นประชาชนคนไทยนะครับสิ่งเหล่านี้นะครับเท่าที่ฟังมานะครับหลายประเทศนะครับก็เป็นคล้ายๆกันนะครับคำนี้นะครับผมก็ขอบคุณนะครับขอบคุณเวทีนี้ที่ช่วยนะครับให้อธิบายช่วยให้บอกเล่า90กับเพื่อนพ้องนานาประเทศเพื่อจะมาช่วยนะครับมาช่วยในการดูแลปกป้องรักษาทะเลมหาสมุทรของพวกเรานะครับเพราะเราเองในฐานะชาวประมงพื้นบ้านนี้แน่นอนนะครับถ้ากราบใดทะเลอยู่ไม่ได้นะครับเราก็อยู่ไม่รอดครับพอสุดท้ายนี้ก็หวังว่าทุกคนที่ร่วมสร้างก่อตั้งให้เป็นเครือข่ายระดับประเทศระดับโลกก็แล้วแต่นะครับช่วยกันนะครับปกป้องทะเลและมหาสมุทรครับผมสวัสดีครับ
Thank you very much, Laid from the Association of Thailand Federation of Fisher Folks. And now to talk about the capital intensive coastal and marine tourism projects, may we call on the Program for Education, Research and Extension in Territorial Development and Public Policies, Brazil. He is also a researcher within the research group on territory identity and gender and environment. He coordinates initiatives to strengthen and support social organization of coastal populations, traditional communities, and indigenous peoples through the creation of social management networks and sustainable territorial development. May we call on our comrade Edmir Amanaha Celestino.
Olá a todos, vou falar na minha língua nativa, em português. Bom, como a Faye me apresentou, eu trabalho com pesquisa envolvendo comunidades e povos tradicionais que realizam a pesca artesanal já há algum tempo, há quase 20 anos. E aqui no Brasil, sou da região amazônica, inclusive agradeço muito a fala da Josana, fico muito feliz dela estar presente hoje aqui, mesmo passando por todos os problemas que passou, mas firme ainda na causa que ela defende junto a pescadoras e pescadores artesanais, assim como a Cristiana, que foi comentado também, que está doente, mas está aqui presente. Bom, apesar de ser da Amazônia, de Belém do Pará, hoje eu vivo no Rio de Janeiro e trabalho com pesquisa na Universidade Federal Rural do Rio de Janeiro, num grupo chamado Programa de Ensino, Pesquisa em Desenvolvimento Territorial e Políticas Públicas. Aqui, a gente trabalha numa perspectiva da teoria crítica e da gestão social, que prevê a participação e o controle social sobre as políticas públicas. E no meu trabalho em específico com a pesca, a gente vem acompanhando diversas questões relacionadas a conflitos que acontecem no Brasil, mas que também ocorrem em outros lugares do mundo. O encontro de hoje só prova que os problemas eles são globais, eles são muito parecidos em todos esses lugares. Dentro dessa perspectiva, a gente analisa que o impacto sobre a pesca artesanal causado pelo turismo ele é multidimensional, ele tem várias dimensões. Uma dimensão que ela é ambiental, onde a gente vê a poluição causada pela indústria do turismo, desde da quantidade de resíduos que são deixados na praia, o aumento da iluminação, que acaba afastando os peixes, a fauna, que vivem em locais de praia, assim como toda uma série de outros problemas, como o aumento dos efluentes, que acabam contaminando as águas e contaminando os peixes, a grande quantidade de visitação, que acaba prejudicando ambientes como recifes de corais, além dos impactos na captura de pescado, que acabam servindo para a alimentação dessa grande quantitativa, né, de pessoas que chegam a esses lugares e que muitas das vezes não provém da própria pesca artesanal, certo? E há uma invasão desses espaços pela pesca industrial, acarretando num aumento, né, desse impacto. O impacto também é social, porque onde o grande turismo chega, ocorre sempre ele vem sempre acompanhado por um processo de marginalização da atividade da pesca artesanal. Toda essa questão social ela acaba gerando, né, uma perda do pertencimento, da identidade cultural, além da criminalização das atividades pesqueiras em locais onde o grande interesse turístico chega. O impacto econômico ele se dá pelo aumento de custo de vida. Alguns locais aqui no Rio de Janeiro, né, o Rio de Janeiro ele é um exemplo muito grande de todos esses impactos. Eu acredito que pensar no Rio de Janeiro como em relação aos impactos do turismo, isso se reflete em diversos outros lugares do mundo, porque o grande atrativo turístico do Rio de Janeiro se deu em cima da exploração de áreas, né, que antes eram ocupadas por pescadores artesanais. Então, quando a gente pensa nessa questão econômica, além do impacto do custo de vida nessas áreas, a gente tem toda uma transição, né, da atividade turística por pessoas que antes ocupavam espaço na pesca artesanal. Então, essas pessoas elas são desterritorializadas e acabam trocando a atividade pesqueira, que não tem incentivos de políticas públicas, para uma outra atividade ligada ao turismo e ocupando um lugar de subemprego. Então, a falta de incentivo na geração de renda através da atividade pesqueira acaba causando nessa migração de atividade e toda essa perda da cultura local ligada à pesca artesanal. Há um processo de financiarização da paisagem, onde se valorizam locais paradisíacos e se exclui toda aquela população que vivia anteriormente ali, para que esse turismo de massa, esse turismo industrial, ocupe esses espaços e remodelem o próprio sentido daquele espaço. Então, se perdem modos de vida que se diluem dentro de uma visão globalizada sobre a ocupação desses espaços que beneficia as elites e não as populações que antes ali viviam. A questão também é de impacto político, porque o não cumprimento dos acordos internacionais, a falta de políticas públicas direcionadas para a pesca artesanal, elas excluem essas populações de definirem, de participarem sobre aquilo que seria voltado para a continuidade do seu modo de vida. Então, há aí uma perda, né, de representação das comunidades da pesca artesanal nos espaços onde eles deveriam ocupar e defender politicamente a sua permanência, o seu modo de vida. Essas relações de poder, né, elas são completamente desiguais. Então, o impacto político do turismo muitas das vezes se dá pela grande influência de pessoas que geram renda dentro de uma outra perspectiva de valor e que não beneficiam as populações que vivem da pesca artesanal. Tudo isso configura um processo de desterritorialização. Os pescadores são desterritorializados. Os impactos se sobrepõem com os impactos de outras cadeias econômicas, como o do óleo e gás, o transporte, né, através dos portos, a pesca industrial, a aquicultura e hoje, mais recentemente, no setor energético, com a implementação das eólicas na geração de energia. Tudo isso faz com que se perca o território pesqueiro, o maretório, como nós falamos aqui no Brasil. E essas populações se tornam cada vez mais vulneráveis. Tudo isso se junta dentro do que chamamos no Brasil de racismo ambiental, o racismo social e ambiental. E, além de tudo, um racismo climático, porque muitas das vezes essas populações, dando exemplo da região sudeste do Brasil, que perdem o seu espaço nas zonas costeiras, acabam indo morar em áreas de risco, subindo morro. E quando a gente tem aqui problemas climáticos como tempestades, chuvas fortes, essas pessoas acabam sendo as primeiras a serem impactadas pelo deslizamento de terras, pelas enchentes, por estarem vivendo em ocupações de espaços que são suscetíveis ao risco ambiental com as mudanças climáticas. Existem muitos ataques, né? O atendimento aos interesses econômicos do mercado e não das comunidades da pesca artesanal faz com que elas se tornem cada vez mais suscetíveis e vulneráveis. E cada vez mais no Brasil e no mundo há um ataque aos direitos humanos. O não cumprimento de regras como a OIT 169, por exemplo, ela chega a ser brutal em relação a não ouvir e a não participação das comunidades pesqueiras dentro dos processos de tomada de decisão. A gente vê a subversão do que ocorre com as políticas internacionais quando vemos a aplicação do planejamento espacial marinho, excluindo comunidades da pesca artesanal, quando a gente vê artifícios como a regularização da pesca, para que se cumpram propostas como a pesca, não deixar que exista a pesca ilegal, a pesca não informada e a pesca não regulamentada, sendo utilizado contra as comunidades pesqueiras e não pelo melhoramento das condições do modo de vida e de realização dessas atividades. ONGs internacionais, muitas das vezes, seguindo o interesse do capital, se disfarçam dentro da proposta de defesa do meio ambiente e, na realidade, só atacam essas comunidades. Até as mais radicais, como a Sea Shepherd, por exemplo, no Brasil, que implementa ações contra a pesca industrial, mas que batem sem diferenciar a pesca artesanal e o seu modelo sustentável de interação com o ambiente. Todas essas questões juntas, elas criam uma grande bolha para que essas comunidades consigam sobreviver. E a resistência que elas conseguem realizar para poder continuar existindo em seus espaços, muitas vezes se baseiam em ações locais que não são apoiadas pelos estados nacionais, como o turismo de base comunitária, que traz a questão do turismo a partir de um modelo sustentável, onde essas comunidades pescadoras elas têm o domínio do seu modo de produção, elas conseguem ter o domínio sobre a forma de se gerar renda através de um turismo de baixo impacto. É importantíssimo que dentro dessas questões se reforce a participação e o controle social na cobrança do papel do Estado por um desenvolvimento territorial que seja realmente sustentável, que seja um desenvolvimento que consiga pensar nessas comunidades não a partir de uma ótica de exploração, mas sim de uma ótica de equilíbrio entre a atividade da pesca e outras atividades e o próprio meio ambiente. Nesse sentido, eu hoje estou aqui como um pesquisador que sou militante da causa da pesca artesanal. E o papel da ciência, uma ciência cidadã, uma ciência crítica, é muito importante para que haja esse compromisso em ter dados que dialoguem, que mostrem essa realidade e que possam, de alguma forma, auxiliar na preservação, na defesa desses modos de vida e também na defesa dos direitos dessas pessoas que são minorizadas nesse processo. O turismo no Brasil ele atinge diversos locais onde a gente consegue perceber que a falta do papel do Estado e o atendimento das políticas públicas aos interesses das grandes corporações deixam de lado a defesa dos direitos humanos dessas populações. Como na Lagoa de Araruama, que é um espaço semi-fechado, onde os pescadores, em toda a época de turismo, no verão do Brasil, são impactados pela grande contaminação desse corpo hídrico, dessa lagoa, e se vêem adoecidos, o pescado fica doente, ou então em locais onde a gente vê a instalação de resorts ou condomínios de luxo, que excluem, inclusive, o acesso a essas comunidades que não conseguem se deslocar por terra para poder chegar em alguns outros locais. A gente pode ver esse processo de isolamento do turismo, por exemplo, na Ilha Grande, no Rio de Janeiro, onde, durante a crise da Covid-19, houve uma crise de abastecimento. Então, a dependência desses locais pelo turismo acabam aumentando o custo de vida das pessoas que residem ali, ou quando o turismo, como a gente viu na Covid, não gerou, digamos assim, um contato, né, pelo isolamento social, essas pessoas passaram por uma crise alimentar. Então, é preciso pensar em formas de resistência através da economia solidária, através do acesso, né, integração dessas políticas públicas ao conceito de segurança alimentar. Para finalizar, falo um pouco das experiências no Brasil em torno da resistência, como o Grito da Pesca, o Tribunal da Pesca, que levou à união de diversos movimentos sociais da pesca no Brasil, em torno da defesa dos interesses da pesca artesanal e na denúncia contra o blue washing, contra o papel dos estados nacionais que não instituem políticas públicas que gerem realmente inclusão, certo? E acabam atendendo aos interesses do grande mercado e das corporações. Então, é importantíssimo pensar agora, todos nós, em torno de um movimento unificado a nível global, em punições mesmo que simbólicas, mas que denunciem esses problemas e que gerem reflexão e reação crítica da sociedade global. Então, termino aqui minha fala, espero ter contribuído e vamos continuar aí com o evento.
Thank you very much, Edmir. So now we are going to move on to our sub-theme, which is the industrial factory farming of fish. And to talk on shrimp farm, may we call on from Fian, Honduras. From Fian, Honduras, may we call on Claudia Pineda. And Fian, Honduras has been supporting fishing communities in the Gulf of Fonseca who are fighting against industrial shrimp farming export industry, strongly promoted by the Honduran government and operating with little government oversight. So may we call on Claudia Pineda? The floor is yours.
Hola, muchísimas gracias por permitirme ser parte de este foro tan importante y trascendental en el Día de los Océanos. Antes quisiera pedirles si pueden poner una pequeña presentación, que son más imágenes, digamos, para que ustedes pudiesen familiarizarse con el tema que voy a desarrollar o mi pequeña presentación, que la he querido titular como un territorio en constante transformación, amenazas y resistencia desde la perspectiva de pescadoras hondureñas. No sé si tal vez es posible poner la presentación. Si no, pues iniciaré. Bueno, en la primera parte yo quería mostrarles a ustedes geográficamente dónde nosotros estamos ubicados, ¿verdad? Tal vez en la segunda diapositiva, donde está el mapa, aquí en este lado de aquí, tal vez. Bueno, gracias. En esa segunda diapositiva, ahí pues un poco la parte de la ubicación geográfica, decir primero que Honduras es un país de Centroamérica, somos el corazón del istmo centroamericano y del sitio donde quiero referirme en esta ocasión específicamente es la región Golfo de Fonseca al sur del país. El Golfo de Fonseca es esta pequeña parcela que estoy señalando aquí en la parte de abajo, que como ustedes verán, es compartido el Golfo de Fonseca junto con otros dos países centroamericanos, El Salvador y Nicaragua. Por lo tanto, tradicionalmente, históricamente, esta es una zona de suma conflictividad por los derechos de uso y de acceso de los diferentes recursos marino-costeros que están en esta zona. Muy cerca de esta zona marítima también hay zonas de altas montañas, ¿verdad? Donde hay una serie de explotaciones como por ejemplo la agroindustria de exportación. Ahí se cultiva caña de azúcar, melón, sandía, productos para los mercados orientales, pero también para Estados Unidos con un sistema agrícola, por supuesto, intensivo y con mucha producción de agroquímicos, ¿verdad? De vertidos de agroquímicos. Para este sistema de conflicto de los derechos de acceso y uso de los bienes naturales, también se da al interior de nuestro propio país. Aquí, para hacer un acercamiento un poco más a la zona donde nosotros estamos trabajando como PIAN Honduras, eh, pues el Golfo, aquí en la otra imagen, el Golfo desde el lado de Honduras, hay una partecita, no ahí mismo, en la misma, este es un municipio que se llama Marcovia, ¿verdad? Hay varios municipios costeros desde Honduras, pero específicamente en Marcovia y en 4 comunidades donde la población pues vive directamente y casi únicamente de la pesca artesanal. En la siguiente diapositiva, sí, yo quería destacar, tal vez si pasamos, la rica biodiversidad que tiene el Golfo de Fonseca, ¿verdad? En el cual, pues, a pesar de tener una riqueza ecosistémica importante, también hay muchos desafíos económicos y sociales para la población que ahí reside. Es un territorio sumamente cambiante, ¿verdad? Como lo tiene el título de mi presentación, está en constante transformación, producto de todas esas explotaciones de gran escala que están en la zona costera y que está impactando directamente en derechos fundamentales de las poblaciones pescadoras. Háblese primero el derecho a la vida y con el derecho a la vida, pues por supuesto a la vivienda, el acceso al agua para consumo humano, a la alimentación, el derecho inclusive a la vivienda. Es así como yo quiero también hacer énfasis con las narraciones que las mujeres con las cuales estamos construyendo espacios de exigibilidad de comunidades de Guapinol, Punta Ratón y Cedeño, en lo que les mencionaba como el municipio de Marcovia, en las que ellas han podido evidenciar las implicaciones de lo que hemos venido mencionando a lo largo de este foro, que es el capitalismo centrado únicamente en la expansión y la acumulación de capital en pocas manos. Manos, por supuesto, muy lejanas a las manos laboriosas de las mujeres pescadoras en las zonas costeras. Una de las causantes a las que me voy a referir son muchas de esta transformación del territorio y de los medios de vida de las familias en estas comunidades es la producción de camarón para la exportación como principal destino del mercado. En los testimonios, las mujeres señalan que a lo largo del tiempo, a través de la ocupación de las fincas camaroneras y los laboratorios de producción de larvas de camarón, coexisten de manera conflictiva, sumamente conflictiva, nuevas formas de ocupación y aprovechamiento del mar.
Permiso, perdón por interrumpir. Perdón, si puedes leer un poco más despacio, solo para que los traductores puedan acompañar.
Ok,
Sí.
sí. Un poco más despacio. Sí, decía que dentro de la ocupación de estas empresas camaroneras de las lagunas y de los espacios de playa y de mar, coexisten muchos conflictos territoriales precisamente por la ocupación de este territorio y hay una disputa entre las formas tradicionales de uso que tienen las comunidades de manera tradicional e inclusive en algunos pueblos, por ejemplo, también indígenas, también la parte tradicional. La actividad productiva de gran escala, y quizás pasamos a la siguiente lámina, que ahí lo que quiero mostrarles es la gran destrucción, ¿verdad?, que se da en la zona del Golfo de Fonseca en muchos de los municipios, ¿verdad? La actividad productiva a gran escala de la producción de camarón inicia en la década de los 70 en Honduras y tiene un repunte importante hacia la década de los 80, cuando el mercado internacional de Estados Unidos, que significó mucho desde ese momento, estimuló, ¿verdad?, la proliferación de lagunas de producción de camarón. A principios de los años 80, el Golfo de Fonseca experimentó ese auge y se convirtió inclusive en el segundo mayor productor de camarón criado en granjas en el hemisferio occidental. Previo a los años 70 y posterior a ella, las mujeres y sus familias colectaban productos de especies de camarón y otras especies de peces en el mar, en las playas conchas y diferentes tipos de moluscos que abundaban en la zona. Hoy en día disputan el territorio costero con las innumerables lagunas artificiales que dan alcance no solo a la zona de la playa, sino más allá del mar, en el cual las mujeres ya no pueden colectar esos productos que son necesarios para su alimentación y para la venta local, ¿verdad? Y que con él pueden adquirir ingresos para otras necesidades básicas, pero también dentro del mar, cuando quieren pescar cerca de las instalaciones de las empresas camaroneras, son agredidos, incluso con disparos contra sus lanchas. También de sobra decir que las empresas camaroneras han generado una deforestación importante en la zona del bosque de manglar, y esto ha tenido unas implicaciones muy grandes en los procesos hidrológicos en el mar, en el complejo sistema de mareas que se interrumpen y se pierde, por ejemplo, hay una contaminación del agua dulce con agua salada. Y eso dentro de las resistencias, porque veo que ya tengo poco tiempo, solo para mencionarles que en esas imágenes ahí vemos todas las instalaciones de las empresas camaroneras donde hacen sus vertidos químicos, y esta es una placa donde se le dio un área, se le nombró como área protegida Punta Condega, y Punta Condega hoy en día está totalmente destruida por la intervención de las empresas camaroneras. Dentro de las resistencias y las luchas que se han tenido con las mujeres y con los líderes también en las comunidades, fue poner en contexto en Naciones Unidas sobre esta situación, y se hizo una comunicación directa de los relatores al gobierno de Honduras exponiendo esta situación. La respuesta del gobierno de Honduras en septiembre del año pasado fue negar absolutamente la pérdida de bosques de manglar. Por supuesto que la contaminación y toda la degradación, la responsabilidad de las empresas camaroneras, y niega rotundamente que se estén destruyendo sitios Ramsar y sitios declarados como áreas protegidas. Tal vez si en la última lámina, ya para recortar un poco por el tiempo, que sé que es bastante corto, en la última lámina solo decir que con el trabajo que se está desarrollando, se ha hecho una serie de estudios participativos con hombres y mujeres sobre los procesos de intrusión marina, ¿verdad? Dentro del cual se ha podido evidenciar esas violaciones de los derechos humanos fundamentales, cómo eso tiene incidencia en pérdidas y daños en el ámbito del cambio climático, pero también se han hecho propuestas desde las mismas comunidades de una estrategia de protección de comunidades costeras frente a la erosión. También está en marcha un proceso de estudio de contaminación del Golfo de Fonseca con parámetros físico-químicos, sociales, económicos, transversalizado por derechos humanos, que lo que quiere es llamar y alertar sobre la situación del Golfo de Fonseca, y de la mano también se está haciendo todo un trabajo desde los saberes y las prácticas de los pescadores artesanales para proponer dentro de la política nacional hondureña un sistema o una gestión comunitaria del recurso marino costero. Y eso un poco para dar a conocer que las mujeres, sobre todo, no pierden la esperanza y no quieren quedarse calladas. Reclaman cada día espacios de participación. Y bueno, agradezco mucho la atención de todos ustedes.
Thank you very much, Claudia, for that. And so the last intervention for today is
Yeah.
Hemanta Witanage. Thank you very much, Hemanta, for waiting. So Hemanta is a Sri Lankan environmental activist who founded the Center for Environmental Justice in 2004, and in 2021 he was elected as the chairperson of the Friends of the Earth International. His role involves leading a network of civil society organizations and people's movements across the globe that advocate for environmental justice globally. So he will talk about food sovereignty and resistance. So, Hemanta, um, you you may take the stage. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, Hemanta. Yes. Go ahead. We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, dear friends. So we know that food sovereignty is fundamental rights of people, communities, and countries to establish their own agricultural, labor, fishing, food, and land policies that are ecologically, socially, economically, and culturally appropriate to their unique circumstances. We believe unequivocally that food sovereignty is a demand for systemic democracy within the very fabric of our own food system. It's about empowering communities to control food access to production and fostering true self-sufficiency and dramatically reducing our vulnerability to unpredictable whims of global climate and trade dynamics. What we need is nothing less than a radical shift in power from distant global corporate entities to local culturally appropriate governance, emphasizing self-determination of collective rights. For too long, we have witnessed that the prevailing neoliberal capitalist model prioritizes profits over people and the planet. It fosters the fierce competition rather than essential cooperation. This relentless profit-driven approach, obsessed with producing as many calories as possible, as cheaply as possible, has unleashed a powerful river of toxic, energy-intensive factory farming. This system is continuously polluting the oceans with chemicals and garbage, including plastics. My own country, Sri Lanka, was heavily destroyed by the Express Pearl ship disaster, which is one of the most dangerous chemical ship disaster in the ocean shipping history. It also created a huge land area with the money from Chinese, and they filled the ocean to create a new land. This destructive current erodes public health, compromises workers' safety, undermines local economies, harms animal welfare, and catastrophically degrades ecosystem reliance. And we must confront in deeply patriarchal impacts, disproportionately affecting women's health and livelihood through exploitation, land grabbing, and criminalization of defenders. In our current landscape, we see the alarming corporate capture of crucial negotiating space from the UN Ocean Conference to the Convention of Biological Diversity and even the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change negotiations. These platforms mean to serve humanity are instead being used by greedy corporations to legitimize the exploitation of our oceans and soil rather than respecting the fundamental rights of people. To counter this, we advocate for fundamental shift, a transition towards healthy, ecologically regenerative, and democratically governed food system that promote justice for all. Furthermore, let's be clear about our oceans. The ocean sustains over 500 million people who rely on its resources for their daily livelihood and provides the primary protein supply for over 1 billion people globally. Our ocean is not a commodity for corporate profits through mechanisms like blue credits. We see that they try to control our oceans through debt for nature swap. We are increasingly witnessing blue washing becoming the new frontier for economic growth and corporate accumulation, filled with empty promises that merely accelerate the plundering of our oceans and the dispossession of our people, treating our communities as expendable. We, as the local communities and the civil society organizations, stand at a critical juncture. Our voices, our actions, and our solidarity are more vital than ever. Let us continue to advocate, innovate, and build the just, equitable, and sustainable food system that humanity and our planet so desperately need. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hemanta, and thank you all very much to those who intervened today in our conference of the Ocean Peoples Day 1. So watch out for Day 2. We are not yet finished. We still have Day 2 tomorrow. And to wrap up our session for today, May we call on from the WFFP Women Assembly, the most renowned WFFP women member. May we call on Jesu Retinam. Jesu, are you here?
Here. Yeah.
Yes, Jesu,
So,
we can hear you.
yes, I'm here. To wrap up, today, the whole world globally, they are celebrating Ocean Day. I just wanted to tell the UN organizations and the state authorities and the global authorities and with the corporates, they are celebrating the Ocean Day in the context of investing more and more in the way to dispossess the communities, displace the communities, and take away the culture of the fishers. That is their way of celebration, introducing false solutions and declare more and more conservation sites and support corporates with finance and the state with finance to do this. By this, to achieve this, they are assaulting on our ocean peoples, and that is very evident from the communities, leaders, and the movement leaders who shared here. And we started our day today. We have, from the depositions and from the sharings, it is very clear that from soil to sea, rivers to sea, we as fisher peoples are imagining our ocean sovereignty as our fisher people's sovereignty for our future generations. Whereas the so-called UN organizations, as I mentioned before, they see it as they do not recognize our culture, they do not recognize our space, they do not even consider us as human beings. To be clear, it is our fundamental political right, not humanitarian right, of the marginalized fisher peoples. We are not here for charity, or we are not requesting for more and more schemes. We are demanding, not even requesting, we are demanding our right as fisher peoples. We are telling them that don't marginalize us. Don't introduce new solutions in the name of conservation and displace us. We are fisher people and we are here to reimagine our sovereignty and declare our rights. Now, from the evidence, from the sharings, I can also say the brutal expansion of ocean security and governance is increasing. The military base on our ocean to protect, or it is not to protect us or the safe nation citizens. It is developed to secure and safeguard corporate investments. We can see now on all along the coast the impact of militarization, and the community is not able to move from one village to another village. So the investments in the ocean and the coastal space, the name of blue economy regimes is very evident. We are criminalized for living with our way of fishing. That is our way of life. That is our culture. That is our space. But we are struggling hard to preserve, to conserve that and to fight for our rights. Further, our sacred biodiversity, ecology of the ocean, coastal spaces are enclosed in the name of conservation by 30 by 30. Then labeled as saleable, leasable, debt swaps. Leasable for how many years? All of us know. The name of blue-green commodities, which is called conservation. So conservation in other terms should be spelled out like this. And one more factor, the blue energy, offshore energy, occupying both land and water of us. The communities, I very well remember in our struggle here, we demanded for a decentralization of solar power within panchayats, so that the communities can manage the power of their own villages and their own panchayats. Now, not only blue energy, solar energy, everything is coming in a big way. And all the corporates are investing into it and taking away both our land and water from us. These are bloomed industrial mega scale lining up on the coastal line as magnificent post fences. It denies our access, curtail our way of life. Wherever these offshore energy, blue energy is coming, we have witnessed that it is taking away our life. Now, even the biggest inland water, world's biggest inland water lake is now privatized and corporatized, and corporates are investing into it. How to term everything, if you look at everything, I realized that in 1982, when they demarcated and declared exclusive economic zones, we did not realize the intensity of impacts of EEZ. Now, I realize the meaning of exclusive deep sea mining economic zone, exclusive of offshore economic zones, marine conservation economic zones, oil and gas exploration economic zones, nothing but alternative word of SEZ for land, water, EZ for water. And realize this as a terminology now. And it is promoted as the terminology to be bought, sold by the communities without involving the communities in any of the discussions, any of the, even it's all done. The communities, when they were sharing, they were saying everything is done in a secret way at the back and introduced. When it comes for implementation, only communities come to know that it is there. So this is the way. And this type of, we have clearly told that we are coming out and saying that we cannot tolerate, we will not tolerate such violences against our and taking away our rights. And so we are here to reimagine our ocean sovereignty in our terms, not in your terms. And so now, tomorrow, we are going to, we have already in today's sessions itself, some of the resistance built were equally shared, linked and shared, not only the violations, but also that. Tomorrow we are here, again here, to declare and communicate and share our resistance, what all we have built and how we have gained also. And really, from a National Fish Workers Forum, the chairperson was here. We are really happy. Coming from India, I'm very happy that he was here to share about the entire coastal issues of which we are facing in India and which NFF is has pledged to take it forward. Yes, with WFFP. So with WFFP, we are here to take all the issues forward. And tomorrow we have the sharing, and this will lead to and energize with the resistance sharing tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jesu. And that concludes our session for today. Our oceans, our sovereignty, our future. This is the second conference of the Ocean Peoples 2025, Defying Colonial Capitalism Union for the Future and the Earth. Of course, this is organized by WFFP. So, comrades, let us continue to cast our nets for the future people's future because, as Jesus said, our rights and our demands will not be given to us. We must fight for it. So, see you all tomorrow, same time, same place, and thank you very much. Yifang, thank you very much for co-moderating with me. Thank you all for attending. See you all tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks to both our moderators and also thanks to all the interpreters who made these sessions possible. What an amazing job of like 13, 14 languages being done. June, Arun, Nadine, all of you, thank you very much for backing this up. I think we have been disasterless today. There have been no trolling, there have been no online attacks, but at the same time, one of the sad things is that our people are not able to see each other. Some of them are not able to even switch on the videos. Tomorrow we shall try and fight that and figure out another way to be as protective about the Zoom, but also be doing this well. Thank you all very much. It's a good night time from India. Thanks to Yifang. Thanks to Fai for amazing moderation for today. And Fai, we could see you struggle with the fact that the little one was really wanting your attention and you still kept him away and did that work. Amazing commitment. Great comrades. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Nazik, so
Bye
good
bye.
to see Nazik here. Wow. Nazik is here.
He's here. Nazik is here. I saw him.
Wow. That's great.
Hi, Nazik. Bye bye.
Bye-bye, Jesu. Bye, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy the session. Peter Regis and Vincent and Grenadine.
Bye, bye, everyone. Bye, bye.
สวัสดีค่ะ
Thanks, everybody. It was great. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, bye, bye. Bye, everyone. Pinto sir, hi.
Bye for now.
How are
See
you,
you
sir?
tomorrow.
How are you, sir?
Very
How are
good.
you, sir?
All well. Getting along.
Okay.
Okay.